My brother hasn't left his room for 2 months. After I opened his door, I found out why. I hate talking about it with people. It annoys me how my brother acts. He was the worst brother I could ever ask for. That is, until I opened his door. Throughout both of our childhoods, we were inseparable. We played and hung out together all the time. Things were happy. It all changed when I was 11, when I was diagnosed with leukemia. From what I've heard, Ryan was practically forgotten by my family. My parents constantly visited me in the hospital, staying by my side during the majority of my chemotherapy. Even when they were at home with Ryan, they still only thought and talked about me. Brother's face as he saw me in the hospital bed. The first time he saw me, he looked distraught. It must have been hard seeing your own sibling in a state like this. As more and more visits went on, the expression on his face had changed. His face looked hard to read, almost like he had something on his mind. I didn't think much of it at the time. Thankfully, I quickly went into remission and have been cancer-free for around 5 years. The whole family was thrilled, including Ryan. Not long after I was released from the hospital, my parents revealed to us that they were having some financial trouble and would both be having to go back to work. I was 11. My brother was 13, so they trusted us to be home alone. I'll never forget Ryan's face when they told us. He looked absolutely crushed. It was from then on that our relationship seemed to change. Ryan became distant and withdrawn. He was quicker to anger and didn't seem to want to be around me. At the time, I figured it was part of him becoming a teenager. While this behavior continued for the next 5 years, it was only around 3 months ago when his behavior began to get stranger. It started after he finished his senior year of high school. Once summer break began, he started spending much more time in his room. His bedroom is on the basement floor of the house, so he always has his privacy. Not long after school ended, I began to notice some odd signs. I remember sitting on the couch watching television. Ryan wasn't home, and my parents were out working. When Ryan came home, he was carrying some sort of container. I couldn't tell what was inside, since it was covered by a white sheet. I asked him what it was, but he told me loud and clear that it was none of my business. He brought the mysterious container down into his bedroom. He then came back upstairs, back outside to his car, and came in with another container, still covered by a white sheet. He continued this a few more times, coming back with more covered containers. At this point I was extremely curious, but I didn't want to upset him by asking again. Once he finished retrieving the containers, he went back to his car and returned with more stuff. This time he came back with many bags of food and bottled water. All of the foods were non-perishables, like bread, canned goods and crackers. Finally he went downstairs and locked the door. I was confused, but I wasn't very concerned. I began to get alarmed the next day when he still hadn't left his room at all. I knocked on his door, hearing him shout for me to go away. I tried pulling it open, but it wouldn't budge. I must have did something to lock it from the inside. Eventually my parents got concerned too. They tried to open the door, but Ryan convinced them not to care. He told them that he was an adult and that he had food and water to sustain himself. They gave in, not wanting to argue after a long day of work. I, however, refused to give up. Every day I tried to convince him to get out, but he always yelled at me to go away. Finally, about a month later, I gave up. Another month went by and Ryan still hadn't left his room. None of us tried to get him out since we knew he would just end up yelling at us. During the night, my mind would often wander and think about Ryan. As time went on, my thoughts became more and more paranoid, and I began to get worried. It was around the 2-month mark when I decided enough was enough. I woke up early that morning, and couldn't fall back asleep. My parents were working, and it was just me and Ryan at home. I silently crept down the stairs, and walked towards the door to Ryan's room. I knocked gently. Silence. I knocked harder, but still got no response. I tried calling his name, but was still met with silence. I continued to knock, eventually banging at the door. Getting really scared, I put my ear to the door and noticed something. I heard a noise that sounded like a muffled buzzing,